Okay, so today I'm going to be listening to an orchestra piece by French composer Pierre Boulez titled Rituel. And this was one piece that was on my listening list for my qualifying exams during my doctorate. So that was the context in which I first listened to it. And this is my second time listening to it since then. And yeah, I think it's a pretty monumental work, and it's worth taking our time with the front matter just to get to know like what goes into putting this piece on. We have already looked at one piece by Pierre Boulez. This was in the Pierrot Ensemble series, and if you would like to go to that video, that's where you can find a brief discussion of his biography and his accomplishments, but nothing that you can't find on Wikipedia yourself. The instrumentation for this piece is pretty massive. We need 3-3-3-4, 4-6-4-0, 9 percussionists, and reduced strings, it looks like. Just 6 violins, 2 violas, and 2 cellos. So it's a little bit of a weird one in that sense. It's like, I guess it could have been in the chamber orchestra series that we did, but it's too late for that now. It's in the orchestra one because I didn't have the hindsight. So the percussion instruments, we got 9 percussionists, which is pretty crazy. The first one has to do tabla, Japanese gong, Japanese woodblock, it looks like. Or maybe this is a Japanese bell. Then we got small maracas, small guiro, tambor de basque, and sizzle cymbal. Percussion 2, woodblock, and suspended cymbal, 2 guiros of 2 different sizes, and then a small maracas tube. It looks like we also have snare drum and a handbell for percussion 2. Percussion 3, we got bongos, claves, maracas tube, Chinese cymbal, suspended cymbal, sizzle cymbal, large triangle. Percussion 4, tom-tom, bell, 4 maracas, or maybe 6, so a whole bunch of different maracas, and then castanets. Percussion 5, tempo block, gong, their own snare drum, another handbell, then we got a large triangle for them, and also a small Japanese bell for them. Percussion 6, tom-tom, African drum, tempo block, wood block, castanets, claves, and then Japanese wood block. Percussion 7, conga, 2 different types of snare drum, I think with and without snares, tom-tom, bongo, tabla, and frame drum. Percussions 8 and 9 have 7 gongs and 7 tam-tams. I'm not sure if that's each or if they share them. Probably they just share them. So, pretty massive setup, which would be very expensive, and a lot of unpitched percussion, I think, is what's strange about it. And the orchestra is divided into 8 groups. We got oboe is group 1. Then group 2 is the 2 clarinets, 1 and 2. Group 3 is 3 flutes. Group 4 is 4 violins. Group 5 is 2 oboes, 3 clarinets, alto saxophone, and 2 bassoons. And then group 6 is 2 violins, 2 violas, 2 cellos. Group 7, alto flute, 3 oboes, English horn, piccolo clarinet, so clarinet in E flat, bass clarinet, and 2 bassoons. And then group 8 is the brass, the 4 trumpets, 6 horns, 4 trombones. Okay, that's that. Let's see what it looks like on a diagram here. So you can see that group 1, which is just the oboe, is over here. Then group 2 is in the middle, and 3 is flanking. So that's like a whole triangle here. Then groups 4, 5, 6, and 7 are sort of flanking, and then 8 is at the back. And it looks like percussions 8 and 9 are also at the back. And then all the other percussions are like each assigned to a group kind of thing. So yeah, this is stretching what an orchestra would be. It's very far from an orchestra at this point, but let's keep going. And yeah, this is like a nice handwritten sort of score. And this is what the first page looks like. You can kind of see that it's a cutaway score, and the groups are what's important here. And it's in memory of Maderna. I have a feeling it's dedicated to Bruno Maderna, but it says here that Bruno Maderna died in 73, not 74. But yeah, let's go with that. And let's see if I can find some English program notes on this, just to get a sense of what we're in for. Yeah, so this piece deals with repetition, and it evokes a lot of non-Western musical ensembles, as evidenced by that extensive percussion list. Commissioned by BBC London, and it is dedicated to Bruno Maderna. First performed by the BBC Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Boulez. As you may know, Boulez does not waste material. He reuses a lot of material from piece to piece. This is one example of a piece that's based on a much smaller idea. This short piece that he wrote for the journal Tempo, which was called Exposant Fixe, ended up being reworked into this piece, Rituel, as well as a couple other pieces called anthemes, I guess you would pronounce it, which are solo violin pieces. So if you're interested in programming a whole bunch of Boulez, there you go. You could just program those 4 pieces. So the groups are rhythmically independent of each other and guided by the percussionists, which is an interesting way of sort of destabilizing the idea of conducting an ensemble. And it's written in 14 sections that are sort of like call and response-ish, followed by a coda. And it's structured somewhat like an arch form. The piece was really well received, and is seemingly a lot more accessible than a lot of other Boulez's work. So that's something interesting about it. We'll see what my impressions are of it today. I do remember it being repetitive, and of the Boulez pieces that I had to listen to years ago for school, this was the one that I disliked the most, actually. I felt like it went on way too long and was not that interesting. But we'll see what I think today. Maybe this context will help me a little bit to understand it. As always, the recording I'm going to be listening to today is in the video description. If you would like to pause the video now and listen to it, that's fine. Either way, I'm going to just go straight into my post-listening thoughts. Okay, yeah, it's interesting that I got to listen to this right after doing Henry Brandt piece, because I think both pieces have a lot in common. They're both very focused on spatialization, and this hierarchy of groups. Like the Henry Brandt piece we looked at the other day, the strings were the main group, and the other parts of the orchestra were sort of like subsidiary. It was very obvious the relationship. This is a little bit more subtle, but what I noticed as I was going through the score was the lower numbered groups, like 1, 2, and 3, were a lot more prominent, and 1 was perhaps the most prominent part. And then as you progress through the piece, you get more and more elements of the ensemble added, with the odd one being the group 8 at the back, which sort of sometimes interrupts and is doing its own thing, and it doesn't follow the rule. But generally, if you have 2 or 3 ensembles playing at the same time, it's going to be 1 and 2, or 1, 2, 3. If you have more ensembles playing at the same time, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So that was kind of interesting. It gave a lot of prominence to that oboe part, which makes up group 1. And I can imagine how it sort of orients the listener across the stage. It is definitely a difficult listen. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of within each group, there's a lot of parallel and oblique motion. That's almost all that happens. So it's almost like each group is just playing a single line, which is not very typical of Boulez. There's just not a lot of, like, the only contrary motion you get is when groups are so out of sync with one another that they're doing different motions at the same time, kind of thing. And because it's mostly long sustained notes too, you just don't get a lot of like contrapuntal or motion or contrary motion of any kind. And yeah, it's like, in a way, it's kind of lighter than a lot of Boulez's work, but it's also a little bit less interesting because of that, I think. I like the use of percussion to like knock out these tempos. I think compared to the Henry Brandt we had listened to before, this is a much better use of polytempo. It's very clear what is going on. Like, there's different tempos going on at the same time, and you can really hear it. There's something satisfying about that, and this is a unique essay in kind of polytempo writing. I still don't know if it needs to be 25 minutes long, but maybe I would be convinced if I heard it in a live setting with the, my orientation to the stage, how it's all spatialized. I mean, these performance notes, in hindsight, it looks like there's only like this sort of narrow tempo range, right? There's like a couple different tempo markings, and one of them is like you're playing half note equals between 50 and 54, and that's what the percussionists are doing. Or like the percussionists are kind of setting what that is. Or you're playing at the faster tempo, which is 8th, or maybe even it's slower. 8th equals 80 to 92, which is really narrow. Like, so I guess what Boulez is after is like that very subtle, like, variability in when notes occur. I guess I wanted more. I wanted the piece to play with that more. Like, maybe if people were speeding up and slowing down, or maybe if these ranges were widened at a certain point. There is a very satisfying like moment where everybody locks in, and then you get this exchange between the percussionists and everybody. And that goes on for a really long time. So I guess there is that climactic moment, which is really cool. So yeah, that was Rituel. Hopefully this, my thoughts on it helped kind of guide you to appreciating it a little bit more. Next, we're going to look at some Earl Brown. We haven't looked at Earl Brown since the string quartet series, so I'm excited to see how he works with an orchestra And we're just going to continue this theme of like aleatory, let's say, because these sort of polytempo things are aleatoric in a sense, and yeah, this will be even more so because it's Earl Brown.